Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum. In today's episode of 5 Influential Horror Movies, I have Jax with me. Jax and I are going to talk about top 5 influential horror, and then at the end of that conversation, we're going to jump and talk about some of her podcast information that she's got coming up and some art that she does. Right?
Awesome.
Cool. All right. So do you have a preferred order that you want to go in?
No, when it comes to horror and the movies I gave you, I can talk.
Okay, good.
Out of order, around, through rabbit holes, whatever.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Well, I'll just do them in the order that you gave them to me then.
Okay.
Like that. All right, so that would take us to our first one, which is Jaws.
The whole damn thing. Jaws. You can't go wrong with Jaws. You really can't.
That's true. So what made you think of that as like one of your influential horror pieces?
Honestly, the truth of it, Jaws was the first. Jaws actually has a very special part in my heart because it was the first horror movie I watched with my biological father.
Okay.
We are not on speaking terms any longer.
Okay.
So I guess it kind of, watching Jaws is you kind of remember sitting in Dad's lap when you see the shark movie. Of course, it terrifies you at that age, but it was the first one he let me watch, and
okay.
it was and I guess it is one of the. I mean, it's Steven Spielberg. Do I need to say anything else? I mean,
sure.
I mean, in our day and age, Steven Spielberg was like the master. Animaniacs, Jaws, Lunatics Unleashed, Freakazoid. I mean, it's nostalgia, and it was the first. It's the first movie that Dad let me watch with him, and it's that's kind of what ties me to it. Is I remember that time when we were on speaking terms. So, and it's a movie that I can sit down, and if I want to let it play, and I want to draw something, and I don't really want to focus on what's going on in the movie, it lets me, my mind, it moves my mind. So it's like, okay, so I can turn on Jaws, and I can be like, okay, what am I want to, okay, sketch. I mean, I could have a completely blank mind. I can have a completely blank slate of a mind, like cursor syndrome, and I can put on Jaws. It's one of the movies I can put on and be like, oh, okay, now I know what I'm doing. So
that's cool. Yeah. Well, and I think too, especially if it's one that you've seen enough, like it's one of the ones that I think even if you're not watching it, you can pick. I mean, you know what's going on because you've just seen it. So, because I've seen Jaws a bunch. I'm actually like a really big fan of shark movies in general, but Jaws is obviously like the number one, right? So, but it's one that like it doesn't matter what part I start at. If it were to be on like cable TV, or if I were to walk into somebody's house and it was on, I know what's happening before I look at the screen. Like I've just seen it so many times, so it makes sense that it would be like a good one to just kind of like put on and just do whatever you're trying to work on.
Well, not only that, is it created a precedent. Nothing in that age actually had sea horror. It was it captured a very, very real fear in the main character, which is horror, a fear of water.
Mm-hmm.
I, being the person I am, I have a horrid fear of the ocean. I do. It's more of a fear / respect thing, but I will not get in the ocean. So it kind of relates to me in a way, because I'm like, no, I love the ocean. It's gorgeous. I'll watch you swim in the ocean, but I can't even watch River Monsters where he's out in the middle of the big balloon.
Oh yeah. So Jaws, that's a good one. So your second one is actually one of my favorite franchises. Well, newer franchises, I should say, and that's The Conjuring.
Oh, okay. The Conjuring is actually, I am not one that can sit in front of a smushy romance movie and bawl my eyes out. But every time I see that one scene where she's like, think of what you're going to be leaving behind. This is what you're going to be losing. I bawl like a baby every single time with that scene. And I think what makes The Conjuring so close and near and dear to me is I honestly just love its story.
Yes.
It's you've seen this story so many times. There's just something about The Conjuring that makes it more personable to me.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's the fact that there's the two. I guess the main thing is Ed and Lorraine are not morons. Like they don't just go into the haunted house. Like, this is haunted house. Let's go check it out.
Sure, right.
And then when something bad happens, it's like, oh my god, this is really haunted. Scooby Doo, where are you? It's like, no. It's like Ed and Lorraine are really they get together and they really are like, well, we're gonna go at this thing. I mean, like, we're not gonna run from it. We're gonna go at this thing, but they're not stupid. It's like,
no.
But every other horror movie, it's like the dad either vanishes, it's like thinks the mom's a total nut bunny. And
yes, I hate that. That's like one of my least favorite tropes. It's what I call the unreliable witness. That's like, I hate when there's somebody that's, for a fact is logically sound and you don't believe anything they say. Like, I have a serious issue with that. I hate that so much.
I'm tired of it. I really am. I'm tired of that trope. I'm like, if you've been married to this chick, like most of the time it's the time periods. Oh, we've been married for 10 years. We've been married for 20 years. And she's never done this before. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, she started acting like a doofus. I'm going to commit her to an asylum because she's a nutcase. It's like, there's got to be some sort of something there if she just all of a sudden says, hey, I saw a psycho trying to kill me.
I know.
Or there's a demon next to the bed. I mean, you don't just toss her just because and it's always the woman. It's like all of the authority figures, like the husband is like, no, sorry, you just need to get some pills. The authority figures are like, oh, well, can't really do much. And it's like,
yeah, I know. And I feel like it's so funny because like, it's, like, what is the other one that I really like that's a newer franchise is Insidious. And Insidious,
I love Insidious.
The exact same way. And he's like, oh, like I did everything you asked. And he's like, okay, you come and you do all this, you upset my wife, and here's $100. Like, and I'm like, you are such an asshole. Like, her. She's the mother of your children. Like, at the very least, you should be worried about her, like, in some manner. And he just like blows it. I mean, obviously, like, that story kind of changes, obviously, when we get past most of the first one, but I hate that trope so much. And I don't feel like from in The Conjuring, I don't feel none of the families are really like that either. Like, no, they're not like the husband, in the first one, it's not like the husband was like, yeah, no, you're full of shit. Like, he was just like, yeah, no, something's off. Like, I don't know. I think that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I was very glad about that's another thing I love about that. But I think honestly, it's just this is a movie I could literally fall asleep to. Yeah. This is a movie I could watch any day of the week.
Yeah.
And it is really the only horror movie that I really feel that I have to be very careful how I say that because I'm Texan, so it comes out a little weird. If it sounds like that, I'm sorry. I try to say horror.
Horror.
But yeah, it's like you say horror. It's like it's like, well, who are you talking about? I'm like, no, horror.
I have to do the same thing. I say it like that too. I don't enunciate the last portion of the word. And so when I tell people I have a horror channel, they're like, what?
No, creepy movies. Spooky talk.
Gotta find something else to introduce it with for sure.
That's what I started calling it. Started calling it the spooky talk or spooky movies or creepy chat.
Yeah.
So it's like, you mean horror? I'm like, yeah.
That's the one. You said it right. That's good. Well, that takes us to Aliens.
I found a meme. My husband sent me a meme. Yeah. It's like, no, my husband didn't send this one. I found this on Instagram. It was a picture of Bella from Twilight. It's like the beginning of the strong female character, making sure that people know that girls are badasses. And then underneath it was a picture of Ripley. It's like, no, it started way sooner than this.
Yeah.
So
oh my God. I hate overgeneralized shit like that, where they're like, this is the first time they've ever done this. And you're just like, no.
Yeah, don't get me started on Twilight. I can go into Twilight so deeply. It's not even funny. I don't like Twilight. I can't stand Twilight. I'm very glad that Robert Pattinson is coming back to as Batman because they got the Tim Burton-esque feeling. Thank God finally got it right.
Yeah.
But
it's going to be good.
No, don't throw Twilight at me. I will throw it back at you on fire because it's like, this is the first paranormal romance. Dracula, Frankenstein. Hello? Dracula actually started the paranormal romance. I mean,
yeah.
Dracula was the original Twilight. What about Interview with the Vampire?
That's true. It's
Dorian Gray?
It just has to do with somebody that I interact with on Twitter is like, he was talking about how many things he's finished already and how proud he is of like how far he's read so far into some things. And I was like, man, I'm just glad I got through these 3 because I'm not like a big reader. I'm working on it. I took a break from reading because it's very hard for me to find time for it, but I'm making myself read more. And so I was like, man, I'm just excited that I got through these first couple stories of this anthology that I'm reading. And so we were going back and forth, and he talked about that. He was like, something similar. It'll connect at some point when I'm done talking. But it's like he was talking about the fact that like people don't read anymore. And not only are they not reading the new stuff, but they're not reading the stuff that helped pave the road for the new stuff either. And it shows in people's like mentality about things, like just how when they talk about like some of the universal monsters, there's just like this lack of knowledge because they didn't read them and they haven't seen the old movies and they don't know what the story's really about or how it really happened or any of those things. And it shows so much because then that's when you get the memes about like Bella being, the first strong whatever. That's where that comes from. It's because everyone just sticks to the mainstream stuff that comes out right now, and that's it.
Yep, Ellen Ripley is definitely the first strong human lead I think that I was first familiarized with. And the thing that makes, again, and the beauty that separates her from me is she doesn't act like a badass. She's just trying to survive.
It's basic instincts. Yeah.
So it's like, you're not Kate Beckinsale me to death. It's like, no, there's just a woman that has no idea what she's doing. She's been frozen for 52 years. Yeah. And I'm sorry, there's a thing, Geiger, you cannot beat the xenomorph. You can throw every creature feature at me you want, but you will never beat the xenomorph ever. There have been the Prometheus. No, I watched it and still watch it because I adore Idris Elba. Dear sweet Jesus. Okay. I'm sorry. Huge crush on him.
Yeah, no,
huge crush on Idris Elba. I can't help it.
God, I'm telling you, this is not related. Well, it's kind of related because it's about Idris Elba, but like when he spoke the first, I love the Jungle Book, the movie, like the live action Jungle Book is like huge. Like I'm like super obsessed with it. I went and saw it like 4 times in theaters. Love it. But like, man, when he comes on, that first like sentence that he says is Shere Khan, like my whole body just like locked up. I was like,
it's like chills. Yes.
Oh my God. I was like, this is it. This is going to be so good.
He's doing Knuckles in the new Sonic movie.
Yes.
And the minute he opened his mouth, do I look like I need your power? It's like, melt.
I know, your heart starts beating really fast.
It's like everyone else can just vanish. Just let him talk.
This.
Like,
go away. 2 hours of this.
Yeah, just 2 hours of this with him. Just like, and it reminds you of Idris because he's got his knuckle out and Sonic's like running on and creating sparks.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, Idris Elba. I will watch Prometheus just to support him because he's an awesome character. I love him in that movie.
Yeah.
But Ellen, the sequels to Alien, just don't throw them at me because they're just, you cannot. Aliens, and Alien 3. I didn't really like Alien 3, so I kind of pretend that one didn't quite exist. But I loved Alien Resurrection when they kind of let Ellen be a badass because at that point she's not human anymore. She's literally a hybrid monster. But she becomes like this almost terrifying force. But Aliens is very, very precious to me because number one, there's nothing else like it. Again, you can search the archives. But you will never find a clone. You can't. You just can't.
Yeah.
And another one is really funny because when my husband was in the military and I had Aliens and I watched it all the time.
Okay.
And I had my son in there, so I had my foot. You probably know what I'm talking about. He was in the bouncer. You had your foot there. You're bouncing him while he's sleeping, and you're sitting there folding clothes at the same time. And the only thing I had on was Alien. So he actually learned how to start crying like a xenomorph. I don't have a clue how this happened or how the vocal cords adapted in such a way. But at some point, my husband's like, does he sound like an alien to you? And I listened to him crying, and I was like, oh my God, he does. So, at that point, you're wondering, your science nerd is wondering, should I take him and get his chest x-rayed at that point?
No,
But it was, so I had so another thing is it was another movie that kind of ventured with me through a very tough time in life, because my husband being in the military, he's gone like 18 hours a day. And I'm sitting there with a baby trying to fold clothes and be mom and dad at the same time. So I literally all I had was Aliens. So it was like, that's another reason why it became such an important movie. But again, there's just, the characters there was real fear. There was wanting to survive. And I know it was a science fiction movie, but again, you kind of connect, you kind of feel the feelings of them. And her desire to protect Newt simply because it's a mom desire, her motherly instinct popped out. She's a very, very human character. And she literally was like, yeah, I went through hell. You guys stabbed me in the back, but I'm going to go out there anyway
and do it. Yeah.
So it's like, it was, it was always funny because they tried to position the camera where she wasn't taller than her.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I think his name's Michael. I can't remember his name, but he played Hicks. Is it Michael? I think it's Michael something. I'm going to feel really bad. He was really sad when Hudson died, but they kept trying to make the camera to where it made it to where she wasn't taller than him, because he's actually not a very large guy if you see him in real life. But I think that's what makes me really attached to Aliens. Number one, you cannot beat the xenomorph. It will always terrify me. Yeah. And two, again, we hit the same exact theme with me as the very human character. Yeah. I don't need to be a badass. This is just something I have to do. She's still alive. I'm going to go in there knowing we'll probably both die.
Yeah.
And I have to try. Yeah, I have to try it. So, and then you have Bishop's character, who I happen to love the fact that he is very caring for an automatonic character. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you have these Marines who are supposed to be really, like, they become more of a family unit rather than just, I'm here to do this thing. So there's just a bunch of connection, I guess, with Aliens. And I know that's a common theme with me, but it's very true. So you'll probably see that in all the movies I watch is really that. If it does not have that family connection or that human connection, I'm going to be like, click.
Well, I think you could say that about Jaws too, though, because
totally.
You could say that. So maybe there is a theme. I'm looking at the other two.
Yeah, there's definitely a theme, because
he's
terrified of water. He goes out anyway because his son was put in danger. He's like, okay, I can't watch anyone else die. So it's like, okay, I've just got to go do this.
The last two, there's family human stuff too. So that I think that is a common theme through all five.
I just now thought about it. It's like, wait a minute, because we watched Autopsy the other night. It's like, wow, okay, so here it is again.
Yes, yeah. So Autopsy of Jane Doe is number 4.
Oh my god, that movie is a trip.
I think that was the only one. Yeah, that's the only one on your list that I hadn't seen. I rewatched the last one, but I had already seen it. But yes, Autopsy was the only one that I had not seen.
It's a trip.
It's wild. I think I actually said this to somebody after I watched it, that one of my favorite things about it is the father and the son. They were my favorite part about the film. Like, they just made it like the same thing. Like, I felt really invested in them and their relationship and how they were going to get through this and how they work together. And but anyway, you tell me why it's on your list for influential.
That actually is the same reason. Obviously, it's its uniqueness. Yeah. Jane Doe is another movie that I've never seen before.
Okay.
Ever. And being a gamer, I've played all sorts of games, seen all sorts of movies, read all sorts of books. Never seen Jane Doe. Ever. Like, never seen this kind of story in my life. And I actually liked the vagueness between the father and the son regarding the mother.
Yes.
And the fact that they threw in that song, The Sun Shine In. I'm not sure what the title is. But
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's Let the Sun Shine In. And it's like, you almost want to think of it has something to do with the body of Jane Doe, but it really doesn't. It has something to do with the fact it's like, you two have been fighting each other so much. Let the sun in because you're in the presence of hell. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, it's time to stop.
Perfect. Yeah.
So it's
No,
like
that's
they
a good
put us.
point. Yeah.
So it's like it's like, guys, you're in trouble. And it's almost like she was trying to tell them this. It's like
Yeah. I felt that way too. Yeah.
in her own morbid way. She
Yeah.
wasn't trying to hurt them in a way. She was trying to tell them, guys, this, hello.
Yeah.
Knock,
Stop.
knock.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's what I like
definitely a
too.
unique one. I had I feel like I have seen it around. Like I know I've heard the name. I've seen it come up on the various streaming things or whatever, but I don't know why I just never pulled the trigger on watching it. But yeah, it was a bit of an emotional one. Like there were some moments where I was just like when the dad says when the cat gets hurt and he says he says something like, that was the last thing of your mother that I had. And I was just like, like my heart is like, I'm like in agony with him. Like that hurt my feelings. Like I really was like, okay, yeah, I feel that in my heart. Like that was so, and it was just like this one moment. Like that part didn't even take up that long.
It
But
didn't. It was very small.
got into my skin and I was just like, they really upset me.
Well, see, that's what the beautiful thing is. It also goes along with the theme. You guys are holding on too much. So the last thing she got rid of was the one thing that, had to do with his mom. It's like, okay, so all of the mom stuff is over. You guys, it's time to
heal and
connect and heal and move on. Yeah, like she didn't even try to really hurt them. She really just tried to frighten them.
Scare them.
Yeah, it's like, so she didn't. I mean, they could have left before
they got to that. Yeah,
they could have left at any time. She didn't try to stop them, but when they kept cutting into her, it's like, of course she's going to be like, okay, ow.
Yeah. What did you think of the ending? Like, were you happy with the ending?
I like fear. I do not like happily ever after horror endings.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes if they're not done correctly, it seems too Deus Ex Machina. Yes. I liked the ending that it ended that way because again, it was a thing of he lost his girlfriend. He just lost his father. It was a thing of where was this kid going to go? And, in reality, he didn't have to see that ghost and be scared to death. He could have very easily just walked away because the ghost didn't even try to touch him.
It was just there.
It was just there. It was a presence there. And he chose to be and fall backwards. But I liked the ending because it left a sense of mystery and it let the story continue. Yeah. So something with horror is if they conclude the movie, they don't have they explain everything. That gets to that's not a horror. It's not a very popular horror thing for classic horror because horror in and of itself is beautiful when you don't know everything. Yeah. So that's what, if you look at all the greats, Edgar Allan Poe, H.P. Lovecraft, Stephen King, all of them have this one thing in common. You are not going to find out everything no matter what you try to say or do. Yeah. So, and there was one screenwriter, horror screenwriter that said that's if you don't like not knowing everything, don't read my stuff or don't see my movies because I will frustrate you. Yeah. It's because I will not. The beauty of horror is not explaining everything. And I liked the ending. I love the ending. I think that it was a unique ending because they didn't try to make it happily ever after. Yeah. They just let horror be horror. And Joe's body, there was no answers. She obviously did it to defend herself because if they found out, oh well, she's a witch, they might try to do something with her. But she was allowed to keep going because it was obvious she was trying to perform a ritual to bring herself out of her own lock. So it let the story continue. So I liked the ending of it. I know I'm probably the only one who liked that kind of ending, but I like when there's wait, that's it. I actually like those endings. So.
No, I do too. I like ambiguous endings and I like unhappy endings. I feel that we're one of very few countries that produce horror that way. I watch a lot of like Korean and Japanese horror, and they don't do happy endings most of the time. Most of the time, it's really not. It's very bad. It's very sad, or you don't know, like you said, you don't know everything, and I prefer that. I like things that. I feel, and I probably, people watching my videos are probably so sick of me saying this because I say it all the time, but I feel like the best type of horror is horror that lingers, is the type of horror that makes you think back to a movie a week after you've seen it, or you can't stop thinking about the ending for a couple of days, or you're just left so uncomfortable and you just can't quite figure out why. Or like, I think that is like that is what it should be like all the time. If it's going to fall into the category of horror, then it needs to be something that hooks you in, like that really makes you just think about it. And and it's funny because like so one of the movies that I love the endings of that a lot of people hated is
oh no,
you're fine. That's fine. Is the movie Mama. Have you seen that one?
I have not seen that one. It's on my watch list. I'm kind of waiting to see if Amazon will actually have it on a Prime watch, because it does cycle through different Prime movies.
Oh yeah.
But it is on my. I do want to see it. Number one, I love her. I love the main actress. I love her. She's very good. And two, it's just a unique concept. I was like, yeah.
It's very unique. And it is very good and very unsettling and creepy. And I loved it, every second of it. I've seen it a million times and I've shared it with people and they're like, it was a horrible ending. And I'm like, yeah, but I like horrible endings. So it kind of works out for me because I like endings like that. No, I think I like the open-ended ending. I like that we don't really know where she's going to go next or what's going to happen next. And I like that the family didn't make it out. Like because I've always said, like, I feel like if this was a real life situation, right? If this was a real life father and son, like, I feel like in general, the situation being this supernatural force, and this goes for any movie that has that, or monsters or whatever, like we're not coming out of that the way we went in. Like that's just not reality. We don't come out of fender benders the way we went into them, like let alone something that's essentially a 2-hour like traumatizing experience. Like you just don't come out of those things the way you went into them. And so like I think like that's kind of what made it, I think, good for me. I did actually like some of the body horror stuff was really well done too.
I like that too.
That was really impressive. Like some of it was really good. And I didn't know what to expect from the movie, but I think that part definitely exceeded expectations. I really did like that part. Like when he starts peeling back the skin, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was just like, okay, well, we're doing this. Like, I thought that part was crazy. And like, so I did like a lot of those parts too. And I was fine with the ending. I thought the ending was pretty good.
It's one of the very few that they actually get that right. I liked it too.
Yeah.
And it leaves it open if they want to make another one, they can, because she's still obviously trying to.
She's not done. Yeah.
Yeah, she's trying to get free. Like you can tell by that very end, her toe tingles. So she's obviously getting close to being complete again. So, so if they wanted to make another one, they would. I hope in a way they don't, because sequels.
It'll probably take away the magic. Yeah.
Yeah, sequels scare me. So.
I agree. Yeah, that was a pretty good one. I'm glad it was on your list. I don't know if I would have ever seen it. I mean, maybe eventually, but because I hadn't seen that one. And then that takes us to Dark was the night.
Oh,
Is the night was
Dark was the night.
Yes.
That movie, if I had to choose any type of movie that I like to watch the most, it's a creature feature. And same. I know you and I are waving our Kevin Durant flags. Yes. So I needed to see his name, and I was like, click.
Me too. Sign me up. Yeah.
Yep, if it has Kevin Durant, I will support it. Even if the rest of them are horrible and the plot sucks so badly.
I'll watch it anyway. I don't care.
If it has Katie in it, let's go for it. But I think he does have a new movie coming out. I don't remember what it is.
Oh, I meant to look it up. You did say that. Yeah, I
think he does. I have to know for sure, because if it has Kevin Durant, I'm like, yeah. So, but this movie, number one, had everything right. Now, being a horror, oh my gosh, a creepy author, I know it doesn't sound good any way I say it, but I just. Creepy.
I know when you say it, I laugh because I know when you say it, I know why you're saying it that way, and that's what makes me laugh. So,
I'm glad it's like it's Texan. Like sometimes when I say shark, I have to remind myself to say the R because I'll say shock. So, and my husband like, "Were you shocked? Are you shocked?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "You just said shark." I'm like, "No, I did say shark." So it's like sometimes I say shock. So my husband would be like, "No, honey, it's shark." It's definitely when I get tired because I get really heavy texting. Like I get really like quick drawl. So it's like my husband like say it. So I have to say horror. So that being a spooky author, I honestly have to say I love it when somebody reaches into the toolbox that's never really touched for creepy writers. Is it this movie had it all. It was monotone atmosphere, isolationism, unseen terror. You didn't even see the monster until the very end there. You had a sense of looming. It wasn't a jump scare. It was a sense of looming force. It was so it had everything in the toolbox that no other horror movie will use.
Yeah.
And it's like it's such a simple toolbox, but it makes such a perfect thing. And then they inserted the human aspect of him just losing his son, but he has supernatural experiences, saying, "Dad, it's okay to let go. You've got people that need you now." So the underlying message is there, and then it's like the monster was a catalyst, not a plot line. So I loved that they did that.
Yeah.
And they started the movie on media res, which is something that a lot of horror does, but they don't always get it right when they started on media res. So this movie just had it all. It had everything. It had heart and soul and the setting and just the fact that they became even further isolated when the roads were cut off in the frozen weather. And the atmosphere and the mood and the music wasn't, oh, there's a monster approaching, let's get as loud as possible, and they get quiet. It was
pretty subtle. Yeah.
It was very subtle all throughout the movie.
Yep.
And that's not something that's used right. It's not something you see. And this movie took out everything people think they see in scary games or scary movies and made it into what it is as a scary movie. Sorry. And that to me is what made this movie absolutely gorgeous and perfect and a great creature feature. And it's also based on another thing that really caught me was it's actually based on a real life event. The monster. Oh yeah, there's a it's called honey, what's that? My husband's right here. What's that event that the Dark Was the Night was based on? The cloven hooves, right? In the snow.
I'm sorry. I don't.
There's an event that happened in the northern United States where one night there were hoof prints in the snow, and nobody knew what kind of animal had left it because they were not quadruped.
They were.
They were bipedal. So people didn't understand. They didn't understand what. No one ever could come up with an explanation as to why this happened. The lizard beast walked on its knuckles. Its knuckles, and that's what. But they just made it that way. But nobody really knows what caused this. It was an actual event. Yeah, you can Google it and find it. Hoof prints in the snow.
I probably will, that's interesting.
He looks it up in the movie. He finds it in the movie. If you see him when he's
one of his searches.
Yes, that's the lore. What happened actually showed up in his search.
Oh, that's cool. That's a nice touch. Yeah, I didn't know though.
Yeah, so that's what it's based on. It's an actual event. Nobody to this day knows what it was that did it.
Yeah,
and it's that's what another thing is they took that and used it so beautifully, and I just loved the movie. I just loved everything about it. And then at the end, of course, you have no idea if they survived because there's these things all over the church.
The first time. So I do remember the first time I saw it, which was years ago. The first time I saw it, and he's like, no, I took like a chunk out of it. And at first I was like, oh, maybe it Oh no, I was like,
no,
like this moment of like, oh crap, there's going to be like more of them. I actually, I think one of the things that happens, with a lot of creature features is over saturation of creatures. Like you see them so much, and there's like so like literally the movie is about just that and nothing else. And I agree. I think this one is that the pace may seem slow to some, but I feel like it was perfect to build up what you're supposed to feel as the story progresses. And I think even when they go into the church, that even kind of made their circle, so like I guess like feeling like they're isolated because they're not able to go anywhere because of the storm. But now they're even in this like smaller space, like all together.
They
It's
slowly
really
close down. I
unnerving
love
because
it.
it's
From the
like
city, then they start in the surrounding area, and
yes,
then
and then
they
it
start
just
the town, and
gets
then they get to the
yeah.
church. So it's like, and then they're in the basement.
Yes, it's just gradually getting smaller. And I think that helps build up those feelings of like hopelessness and like, oh, like we're not going to make it. Like with they're just, it's whatever it is going to come in here and pick us off one by one because where else can we go? And I really like, I feel like the losing the kid thing is another trope that's not done very well very often. But I feel like this one was really good. And I feel like, the way, God, he's such a good actor.
Yes,
but like
he
the way
is.
the way he like I was trying not to swoon as I said it, but like the way he conveyed the type of grief that he had wasn't a stupid movie grief. It felt real. It was palpable. Like he's like, when he looked at her and he was like, "You're the one that left." I was like, that's some shit I would say. Like, like it felt like this is not something just made to add this little drama. Like it felt like, this is what's really going on with these people and you want to know more about it, but you want them to like be okay. Like you want them to get through whatever they're feeling and to be okay, whatever that means. And I love that. I thought it was really well done. Like really well done. When he finally hugged her back, I was like, thank God.
Yes. I love they did not insert a new love interest, but he went back to his wife and his son and he is like, we can heal together. And it's like, look, guys, we're already looking down the hellhole,
Yeah, let's just talk about putting things in perspective. So tell me, so that was your 5. I was going to ask you to I was going to just skip ahead. So tell me about like what you guys are talking about with your podcast. I was going to ask you questions about it earlier, but I was like, I'll just wait and ask.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you can ask me. We basically, we used to run, my husband and I were partners in running a small publishing company. Okay. And unfortunately, because of familial needs, his mom needed some extra family care. We did end up shutting it down.
Oh, okay.
But we are both avid gamers, and we decided, you know what, let's just keep doing what we've always been doing. And our podcast is called IndieRekt. It's IndieRekt. So IndieRekt. So we were like, you know what, I'm an indie author. And I love the indie industry. It's growing, it's strong, it's supportive. And I was like, so we are very much, and we love to support indie games.
Yeah.
So we're like, you know what, let's make this podcast around supporting indie game developers. Okay. So we talked to different indie game developers. Our goal is, we haven't started the podcast yet because we were trying to get over the new year and getting the kids back in school and all that good stuff. So we're trying to gently ease into it. But we already started Twitch streaming. We've already started Twitter, Instagram. So everything's been started for us to start doing our growth and outreach. So our goal is to focus on indie developers and giving their games the promo that they deserve. So the way we do this is we play the demos, we'll play the alpha tests, we'll hop on their stream team, which is, if you write books, you know that a launch team is really important when you launch a book. So we would get on their stream team and be like, okay, so let us know when you're ready. And we'll stream everybody. We'll get that algorithm started talking on Twitch and Twitter and all that. And we'll get streamed. So that's mainly what we do. And I am I used to be a coward when it came to scary games. I would not play one to save anyone's life. But recently I was like, you know what, I'm going to try one. And I started playing them and falling in love with them. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I will play any scary game anybody throws at me because I love them so much. Yeah. So that's what our podcast is. Yeah. We focus on our motto is we shine light on indie game developers because they're growing with COVID and everything being shut down. Yeah. Everyone's being forced to stay at home. So more passions are being pursued.
Yes.
So we want to encourage that. It's like, go, keep going. We need
Yeah.
your
Build.
games.
Yeah.
Give me.
Yeah.
So we need your games. We want your games.
Yeah.
And there's so many good ones. So many good ones. We've played a couple of indie games that have been better than triple A's. I mean, it's been crazy.
That's
It's
fair.
been
Yeah.
crazy. So that's our goal with our podcast, and we have already started it on Twitch and Twitter and social media. So that is what it's for.
Yeah. And I'll get all your links for everything to put in the bottom of the video, so people will have access to it as well.
I will definitely send.
Yeah.
We're everywhere you could possibly be.
Yeah.
YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, email,
everything.
TikTok.
Yeah. What was I thinking about asking earlier before I decided I would wait? So it's not just scary games though. It's just indie games in general. So what was your scary game that like got you to start playing them?
Oh my Lanta. Scary game. There's the first horror game I started playing, because it does technically fall under Eldritch horror, is Bloodborne.
Oh, okay.
I have high devotion to Bloodborne.
I see that. Yeah.
So that's what got me started. Is
okay.
It was, what happened with it was, it came in a time of my life, a very dark time of my life. So really, I can honestly say this way: this game saved my life. Literally, the term saved my life.
Yeah.
It continues to do so for me.
Yeah.
So anytime I am in a dark mood, I know I can turn this game on and I can feel better. I know I can. So it's a very precious game to me. And Lovecraft himself is precious to me.
Yeah.
So that's the first one I started playing.
Okay.
But then the second one I started playing, I dared, because I watched Markiplier play this. Love you, Mark. I watched Markiplier play Five Nights at Freddy's.
FNAF. Yeah.
Yep. I watched him play FNAF, and I have played FNAF.
Five Nights at Freddy's for those.
Sorry, fans.
I just kind of finished it because I knew exactly. So that's how I found Markiplier as well, was through, because my husband is a gamer, and he was like, "Oh, you'll think this is so funny. You'll love this guy. You got to watch this video." And that kind of turned into me watching Let's Plays that, like, well, only horror Let's Plays, because that's the genre that I love the most. So that's the one I'm willing to like watch other people play. But yeah, so anyway, so you've played it, the first, or all of them?
I've played all of them but Security Breach.
But that's the newer one. John Wolf is playing that one, but I haven't watched any of the playthrough yet.
Markiplier played it, but I will say I am harsh on this Security Breach. Number one, I want to preface it with, it is a very gorgeous game. I love the environment. I've been to Hard Rock Cafe, so I totally can vibe with what's going on here. Okay. And I'm so weird. I vibe with the way that somebody actually makes this a thing. Like, if somebody actually gets the gall to build Freddy's Pizzaplex, I will travel to get there fast as possible. Same. So I will say, the environment of this game, it's the beautiful music, and I got scared. That sun moon thing scares the fire out of me. I won't show any spoilers, but it terrified me. Okay. But I'm very harsh on this game because it doesn't feel like a FNAF game to me. I'm so sorry. It drops so hard. And the main kid reminds me of the character from Sonic X or Ash from Pokemon. Oh, okay. So it's like,
but was Scott was still involved with this one though, or no? Is he not involved anymore at this point?
He retired from video game development, and
that's what I thought. Okay.
It was because of a political choice he made that fans just turned on him and attacked him and threatened his family and everything. So I believe, it does not seem like his writing to me. It seems that he gave licensing use to
and he was like, Steel Wool. Yeah,
I think he gave licensing to Steel Wool, but you can tell. You can honestly, if you do play or watch it play through, you can tell he did.
I probably won't play it.
You can tell he didn't write it. I mean, you just can. That he didn't write it. He might have read the script, but it doesn't. To me, it doesn't seem like it's a.
It doesn't feel like Scott's FNAF. I gotcha.
It does not feel like FNAF to me. It had possibility to. It really did. It really did have possibility to. And I did say to the developers, because on our Twitch channel we went over it, and I landed into it pretty hard. I'm like, I'm sorry, Steel Wool, this is not okay. I mean, it feels unfinished. There are plot holes. There's only 3 animatronics perusing this entire place, so getting away from them is super, super easy. What they did was they combined survival horror with Five Nights at Freddy's, which would have worked beautifully. It really would have if the pizzeria wasn't so big. The place was huge. It's huge and it's so easy to escape. And there's only so much jump scare you can get from a security robot grabbing you. So it's like okay, no.
Yeah, the first one was I didn't play any of them. Those are past my what I can stomach. I've played a couple of horror things for the channel, and I've played horror-esque games. Like I'm a big fan of Left 4 Dead. That's like one of my favorite games of all time.
It's on my list to play. I just picked up Outlast, so it's on my list.
Oh God, Outlast is not one I will ever play. I will watch it. I've seen it. It is crazy. I love both. I actually really liked both the games, and I actually think that the DLC for the first Outlast, the Whistleblower DLC, was like better than the first game. It was so good. It was so well done. And so like I can watch them all day long, but playing them, that's like a whole nother thing.
I'm
like
playing it with a headset in. I have headphones on, so I can hear nothing while I'm playing this. And
oh God, no.
Awesome. Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for having me. And
thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Go eat dinner. I need to eat too, actually. Put my kids.
Yeah, let's do the mom thing and eat dinner at late as shit.
Yeah, because it's like you said, our kids.
They take it to. It's just like that's the focus, and then when they're in bed, you don't have to focus on it anymore. So then you can kind of be like, oh, I haven't showered in 4 days or whatever.
That is exactly right. I'm so glad because I don't even notice. I have gotten to the point like my daughter will be like, Mom, your hair's really greasy. I'm like, what? She's like,
and then you're trying to remember. You're like, oh,
when was the last time I had a decent shower?
So true. It's so true.
Well, it's nice to meet you. I'll keep up with you on social media, and we'll just chat whenever. And I'll try to pick up Left 4 Dead when it's on sale.
Yeah.
Like it's on sale on PS5 all the time, so I'll try to grab it then.
Okay.
So you take care. Have a good rest of your night, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, you too. I appreciate it. I'm glad you came.
Bye.
Bye. Hey guys, thanks a lot for hanging out watching our top 5 influential horror movies. I'm really enjoying doing these episodes. They are a lot of fun, and I am really enjoying the interactions I'm having with other people in the horror community. So I hope you are enjoying watching them as much as I am having them. These episodes will be also listed on our podcast, which will be in the description below. And you can go there to listen to the full episode without the cuts that we had to make for time references for YouTube. And make sure you circle back. There's going to be 11 episodes total. So make sure you're caught up on all of the ones before and after. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week and enjoy your weekend. We will see you in the next one.